a great Thanksgiving. I really do. I hope you had a chance to share it with friends and family. And I hope you had a lot of laughter. I hope you're stuffed still to this day. I hope you have so many leftovers you can carry it through next week. I also hope that your appetite was not ruined by the football game you watched at Ford Field. Welcome everybody, on a Ferris Coffee Friday here on X's and Bros throughout the state of Michigan. We're glad you're with us. I'm Matt Shepard. Trent Valley is with us as well. The Meyer Hotline 866-838-4843. The text line is Sports Radio 21,000. I don't have to tell you that the Lions lost. I'm not going to tell you how pathetic it was in a 31-24 final. I'm not going to tell you that Jordan Love threw for 234 yards, matched the career high in fourth down. Packers rushed for 125 yards. They converted all three of their fourth down attempts. They sacked Jared Goff 3 times to sweep the series and improve 8-1. Jared Goff has been sacked 7 times in 2 games against Green Bay. Has been sacked none. This is what will be the focus throughout the day, throughout the weekend, and until next Thursday. That the Lions' offensive line is good enough. I won't disagree with you. You know what else is the focus, or should be the focus? Lions' defensive line ain't good enough either. Okay? Let's be honest here. Okay, instead of everybody couching their feelings and wanting to look at certain numbers that fit their narrative, you need to look a little bit stronger, a little bit deeper at some of the people you really like. Micah Parsons. Whether you like him or not, whether you're pissed off that he was traded to Green Bay or not, Micah Parsons had 8 tackles, 4 solos, 2.5 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 4 quarterback hits. That, according to the statistics in the post-game wrap-up of the 2 individual statistics. Okay? If you looked at Pro Football Focus, it's slightly different. But bottom line is it was very effective. Aiden Hutchinson. I know you may not like the comparison, but here's the reason there's a comparison. Micah Parsons is the top defensive player paid in the National Football League. Outside of any quarterback, he makes more money than anybody else. Aiden Hutchinson is right behind him. Micah Parsons is supposed to be the focal point of their defense. Aiden Hutchinson is supposed to be the same for Detroit. Micah Parsons is considered one of the best edge rushers in the National Football League. Aiden Hutchinson is supposed to be the same. Micah Parsons is oftentimes used as a possible defensive player of the year candidate. Aiden Hutchinson is the same. And Aiden Hutchinson yesterday had 3 solo tackles. It's the same thing happened in Green Bay. I said this last week. I'll reiterate. If Detroit wants to be better, and Detroit needs to beat Green Bay, here's some of the things they've got to do better. They have to rush for more than 46 yards in a game. That's what they did in game 1 against Green Bay. Okay? That was one of the biggest things they had to fix. You know what they did? They rushed for 119. That collectively as a team. A little surprised at Jared Goff's 24-yard scamper, but okay. He had the longest run of anybody who rushed the football for Detroit all day on the 24-yard run. So I guess and I like him. Don't take this out of context, but I guess the Jahmyr Gibbs comparisons to Barry Sanders can be put on hold for a week. Okay? That's possible because he rushed for 68 yards. I said they've got to be better on 3rd down than 5 for 15. That's another statistic that I thought was important from the first time these 2 teams clashed. Detroit was 8 for 13. It's pretty good. And I said, Detroit has to sack Jordan Love. They have to get to him more than 0 times. It happened again, 0 times. They didn't do all 3. They did 2 of the 3, and they ended up losing 31-24. Trent Ballard was there for it. Oh, and by the way, to make matters worse, Amon-Ra St. Brown's out at least a week because of an ankle injury. Here's what eventually is going to be used. I'm going to say it too. At some point, I'm going to have a debate with a Packers fan, and I'm going to talk about injuries. And the Packers fan is going to look at me and goes, time out, man. I mean, you don't think we've got injuries? Everybody does. The discussion of, hey, this team lost because of injuries is kind of ridiculous considering every team is dealing with it. Now,
especially this point in the season.
Yes. Now, it might be. It just might be a little bit deeper with Detroit because still no Kirby Joseph. Now, no Amon-Ra St. Brown. No Sam Laporta. They didn't have their starting center. They haven't had their starting left guard for a number of weeks already. We've lost more than one tight end. Okay. Other teams are dealing with it too. They are. I don't know what it takes to get guys back. I'm not blaming those guys. They want to play. The expectation, DJ Reed is back, everything's fine, is obviously gone. The expectation, Terrion Arnold's back, everything's fine, is obviously gone. The expectation that Amik Robertson is the second coming of Deion Sanders has got to leave. There's a constant need for people to elevate their game. You can use the cliche of step up and all this other stuff. Go right ahead. And nobody's done it, unfortunately. I get it. The immediate blame, and this happened yesterday in our household, is the offensive line. And I'm like, what about the defense? Has anybody looked at the defense? Has anybody seriously considered that maybe, just maybe, the defense isn't good enough either? Everybody went to point fingers at John Morton, the offensive coordinator, calling plays, wasn't creative, didn't get the job done. Let's get Dan Campbell. Boy, you see how much better it is. Look at what they did to Washington. Then a little bit of a question mark about Dan Campbell calling plays against Philadelphia. And now this. But has anybody – I like Kelvin Shepard. I think he's done a hell of a job. I mean, what he did against Tampa, I said that puts him on the map for some people thinking he could be a head coach someday. But what's happened against the Giants? What's happened against this Packers team? Don't say injuries, because the offense has had injuries, and you wouldn't accept that. That ain't working. This team's in deep trouble. And the return of Frank Ragnow, as much as we scream for joy, doesn't fix the defense. And I know that's a wet mop type attitude, but it's true. Our phone number on the Meyer hotline is 866-838-4843. We'll gauge the mood at Ford Field. Trent Ballard will do that when we come back. Brought to you this hour on X's and BrO's by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Hey Lions fans, the boys in Honolulu Blue are making us proud again this season. A great game plan combined with great execution leads to victory. Moving up and down the field is important, but you've got to be able to convert once you reach the red zone. Things get tighter, less room for error. It's no different in retirement. Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. When it comes to your finances, the retirement red zone is a critical time in your planning. The 5 years before retirement and up into your retirement can dictate whether you have the success you hope for. The game changes. You've got to protect what you've spent a lifetime saving and optimize your retirement income. If you're not sure you've got the right people on your team to ensure your success in the retirement red zone, what are you waiting for? Contact us today and put the Mitch Lyons Wealth team to work for you. Go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. A simple 10-minute call can help us determine whether we can help you. 30 or 40 years of saving is worth it. That's MitchLyonsWealth.com. Mitch Lyons Wealth, your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
Look, we dug ourselves in a little bit of a hole. That's the bottom line. We are in a little bit of a hole, but that's just what it is. There's nothing more than that.
Find a way to win the next one, get to 8-5, and then after that, it's going to be the same answer. So yeah, we know where we're at. We certainly know that this was consequential for division rankings and whatnot, but we got to win the next one and find a way to beat Dallas.
Well, we'll get some text, and we'll get to that coming up here on X's and Bros. Dan Campbell, Jared Goff, 7-5, outside looking in. We know that by now. They're on the outside looking in, going into the game against Green Bay. They lose the tiebreaker to Green Bay. They've lost the tiebreaker, well, to Philadelphia. They're going to win their division, one would assume, although Dallas has played pretty well, having won 3 in a row. And that's a big issue, of course, losing the tiebreaker to Green Bay. You put yourself in a really tough spot, when you've got 3 teams in the NFC West, the Rams, the Seahawks, and the Niners. Somebody's got to win the South. Likelihood it's Tampa. Philly's the best team in the East. And then you hope there's, room for you out of the North, but maybe not. Because now you've got this situation with Green Bay. And I know what people are doing. I mean, they're playing the schedule game, and I get that. The schedule game favors the Lions over the Bears. But the Bears aren't worried about you right now. Green Bay's got to play Chicago twice, at Denver, against Baltimore, and against Minnesota. And if I said to you, is Green Bay better than Minnesota, you'd say yes. If I said to you, Green Bay's better than Baltimore, you'd say yes. If I said, could they at least split with Chicago, you'd say yes. And I'd say, how about at Denver? You'd probably say no. Well, if that's the case, and they split with Chicago, and they're going to be home to Chicago next, Chicago plays Philly tonight, you figure they're going to be at least 3-2 down the stretch. That's 11 wins. Okay? Packers team that has swept you, that's 11 wins. You're Detroit. You've got Dallas, who's playing really good football. You got to go to LA, who's the best team in the NFC right now. You're home to Pittsburgh. You're at Minnesota. You're at Chicago. You figure, well, we should beat Minnesota. Of course, you and I thought that earlier this year. Pittsburgh shouldn't be an issue. At Chicago, considering the weather, who knows? Bottom line is, you can't tie. Of course, they've got the one tie, so I suppose technically you can't. You've got to go 8 wins against Dallas, 9 wins against the Rams, 10 wins against the Steelers, 11 wins against the Vikings, and 12 wins against Chicago. That's what you got to do. How likely is that? Not very. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's true. You know that. How confident do you feel right now about the matchup against Dallas in 6 days?
I'm still confident, but not.
Are you?
Yeah, I am.
Good for you. I'm serious. Good.
It's waned quite a bit, though, to your point. Or I think the point you're trying to make.
Yeah, you're a positive dude, and I love that. I do. You were pretty confident going into the game against Green Bay, weren't you? I would guess. Yeah. Me, not so much. But especially when
I was concerned. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, sure,
I didn't think it was going to be a lock or anything.
Oh, no. I
just thought they'd win.
You and I both know this. We've been doing this long enough. If you think it's a quote-unquote lock, you're not very smart.
That's irresponsible.
Because if just look around the National Football League. That's all you got to do. I'm not talking about your knowledge about Lions football. How close was the game in Dallas? Really close. Maybe not so close in Baltimore for half or so. If you're Baltimore last night, you're going, man, for sure, we're beating Cincinnati. Joe Burrow comes back and tosses 2 touchdowns in the second half. the defense, who would have saw this coming? The defense against Baltimore, forcing 5 turns, Lamar Jackson looking like a rookie, perhaps playing his worst game of his career with 2 fumbles and a pick. Dallas looks completely reinvigorated. Dak Prescott, 320 yards, 2 touchdowns. Patrick Mahomes had 4 touchdowns. It still wasn't good enough for Kansas City. Trent, you were at the game at Ford Field. I know the hype building up was unbelievable. You know, Fox's Game Day was there. So you saw Michael Strahan and Howie Long, and you saw Terry Bradshaw and Rob Gronkowski and Tom Brady and Kevin Burkhardt came out because they called the game, and Kurt Menefee's maneuvering things all over the place, and Aaron Andrews is there. It's really cool stuff, right? Great atmosphere outside. It felt like a college game. You get inside, it was loud. It was boisterous people. I mean, this is what tradition is all about. I mean, turkey and Thanksgiving and the Lions on Thanksgiving Day and all that stuff, right? And forget that they've lost, 7 of the last 8. People automatically think home field and tradition. Thanksgiving is ours. I've said it time and time again. They've lost 8 of their last 9. They have a losing record on Thanksgiving. Right?
Yeah,
they've got 5 losses this year, folks.
Tough scene.
5 losses. They've played 6 games at home. They've lost 2 games at home. I remind you, last year, they lost 2 games all year. Both were at home. Please stop with home field advantage. Please. Because not only did they lose 2 home games last year, they also lost a playoff game last year at home.
I think you can sprinkle it in, but it can't be the primary reason for you believing your team's going to win. You can't start with, well, they're at home.
Exactly.
And I'm guilty of that quite a bit.
I think everybody is. You're not alone. I mean, analysts do that. Well, they're at home. Okay.
You just can't start with that. You can throw that in, but that can't be the reason you believe they're going to win.
Because if you play a good team, it doesn't really matter. The Lions were a good team last year, yes? Absolutely.
Yep.
They went undefeated on the road. They were really, really good. Sometimes the road is even better. The home field can matter on 4th downs. Crowd noise. We've seen it with the Chicago Bears a couple of years ago. And how many false starts? Absolutely. I'm not saying it's not a factor. All I'm saying is it's not the be-all, end-all. So you were there. How amped up were people comparatively to the other games you've been at? And what was the mood after the loss to Green Bay?
Well, what's funny, Shep, is the Thanksgiving crowd is a little bit of a different crowd. And I don't mean that in a bad way or a better way necessarily. It's just there are a lot of season ticket holders who sell their tickets, and you've got all these people that come. They're going to one game a year. It's going to be the Thanksgiving Day game. Yeah. Or there are certain families where that's their tradition. And something I noticed this year specifically, there were a lot of split up families. Like before the game started, you've got people in the same section, but they're turning around waving to people, climbing up rows to hand people stuff because they're all in the same family. But I love that because it goes to show they went the extra mile to get every single member of their family in the seats, even if they can't all sit together.
Yeah.
But they had the light up bracelets. They had people eating turkey legs, lots of split up families, as I mentioned. The Star Spangled Banner from CeCe Winans was beautiful. Nice little Motown touch. And it was shoulder to shoulder in there probably 2 hours before the game. A lot of that had to do with how cold it was outside. Yeah. But you rarely see so much energy in the stadium so early. So people were pretty amped up, Shep, but then the game started, of course. And
especially that first drive. The first drive for both teams, the first drive of the Lions when they had the ball reminded me of the first drive of the Giants. I mean, it was just 3 and out that quickly. And you saw perhaps even on the first play where Green Bay's running the football and they're establishing the line of scrimmage. I'm not saying that's the way it stayed the entire game because Detroit had some decent runs too, but it took a little bit of time before Detroit's offense got in gear. Detroit's defense really never found its footing. At least it didn't seem like it to me. And when you're kind of running uphill, and constantly trying to catch your opponent, that makes it tough. When you are seemingly constantly behind the chains, that makes it tough. And when you are losing, especially the middle of the line of scrimmage, that makes it nearly impossible. And those are all certain things that I think happened to the Lions yesterday. I want your thoughts on it. I know it's a tough day, but I hope it didn't ruin your day, if you know what I mean. 866-838-4843. The text line is 21,000. We will be joined by Jack Miller, Michigan analyst, Michigan football analyst at 7:35. What's brewing with Rubes at 8:35, brought to you by Ferris Coffee, as we look forward to his breakdown of the Lions and the Packers here on X's and Bros, brought to you by Mitch Lyons Wealth and MitchLyonsWealth.com.
Yeah, you know it. Rap Rewind 2000. Monday, December 29th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, featuring the boss, Rick Ross. Special guests, Twister, Baby Bash, and Yin Yang Twins. Tickets start at $75 and are on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Rap Rewind 2000. Rick Ross plus Twister, Baby Bash, and Yin Yang Twins. December 29th at Soaring Eagle. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
You are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network, but you don't need to be in Michigan to tune us in. Search XB Mornings on X or X's and Bros on YouTube.
It comes down to little things, little plays, one play, two plays. It changed the whole game, and that's on us. We got to do better at getting off the field.
I think we're just in a little bit not flowing right now. You know, it's I don't know. You know, it's something that can be a tedious thing sometimes, but sometimes it can be like a certain games where you feel like who's not going to get a sack. You know, so it's just it's something you got to look at.
Well, we know you want to vent. Please let us know how you feel. Our phone number, 866-838-4843. Text line, Sports Radio 21,000. I was thinking about Trent and his family yesterday because they had to return all the way to the west side after watching that. And there had to be constant discussion, constant focus, and constant emotion. I mean, I know this. People in my family were livid, and they were pissed. There's a lot of things to be upset about.
I was just going to say there's so much to be pissed about. That's why the discussion never ends.
Yeah, that's the hard part, isn't it? The hard part is it's a day where you're thankful for so much. You're thankful for your family. You're thankful for your friends. You're thankful for your country. You're thankful for the opportunity to just get in a vehicle, drive 2 hours, watch the team you love in a beautiful facility on a great day, and then drive back and be with one another and be safe. All those things. But you cannot help but be frustrated and pissed and feel like the season's slipping away. That's how I feel anyway. I feel like the season, if it hasn't slipped away already, it's slipping away.
How can you not feel that way? We're about to enter December and you're not in the playoff picture.
Yeah.
Say it out loud.
Not just that, you need help to get there. You do not control your own destiny. You need help. You need Green Bay to lose. You need Chicago to go into a tailspin. You need a team from the West to go into a tailspin. And that's the facts, man. Freddie texted me. When are fans going to hold Sheila Hemp accountable? Her words, she said Super Bowl, then raised prices. Now she's gone silent. Does she have the guts to tell Brad to go get the stars, tell Dan to start using Jack Fox? Well, okay, hold on a second. Can we just remind people of this? First and foremost, the Lions had the lowest ticket prices of just about any team in the National Football League. They raised their prices to get it closer to what the league average was. Okay? That's first and foremost. Freddie's a businessman and a good one, I might add, because his restaurant's really good. I've been there a number of times. It's very good. They're going to keep them flat in 2026, and I know you're like, oh, she raised the flag, right? Like she deserves this, that, and the other thing. No, I'm not saying that she's wearing a gold medal around her neck. Okay, but mostly they were flat. They raised ticket prices an average of 4% during 2023. Okay. They had a little bit more in 2024. Their season tickets went up an average of 30%. And this year they raised prices at 24%. A lot of it is because they were so underpriced before. As a businessman yourself, at what point do you raise prices? You know this better than I would. What point do you raise prices, and what point do you say, I'm good? We're settled in. This is what it's going to be. You have costs. They have costs. I don't have to pay for them, so it's easy for me to say. I thought some of the ticket prices, somewhere I think over 100% increase, was stark and wrong. And we said as much. But I do know they were underpriced going into the 2023 season. Okay? That's number one. If she continues to raise them every single year, I would have plenty of angst and plenty of arrows pointing toward her. But, second of all, her being silent, it's not like she rushes to what Jerry Jones does in front of the cameras and the microphones after every game. Okay? I don't know when you're referring to when she said Super Bowl. Maybe that was in the offseason or something like that. You don't hear from the Lions owner very often. And I think that's a good thing, personally. What is she going to tell Brad to go get some, spend some money? I don't know what she tells him. I know how much money they have left. I know how much money. Are you trying to tell me that the price tag of the Lions players, Brad Holmes going out and making Kirby Joseph one of the highest paid safeties, Brad Holmes going out and paying Aiden Hutchinson and Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Jared Goff and Penny Sewell? What do you think right now? Are you trying to tell me this team is cheap? I hope you're not going that route. Would I have liked to them spend some money on some players at the trade deadline and a few other things like Kevin Zeitler, for example? Yes, I would have. But I don't think it's fair to sit there and say, tell him to go spend. As far as Dan Campbell telling him to go use Jack Fox, she's not coaching the damn football team from the box. Nor would you want her to. Because if Dan Campbell stood in front of the media and said, well, the reason I punted on that 4th and 3 is because I got a buzz from the head coach or from the owner's box into the head coach's headsets, and I was told to punt, what would you be saying then? And I don't think he's being literal here. The game was lost after going for it on 4th down and 2. Yeah, I thought they should have taken the points too. I said it at the time. We're not armchair quarterbacking here. I sure didn't like them going for it on 4th down at the 50-yard line. And if you're going to do that, and I don't subscribe to it, if you're going to do that, running Jahmyr Gibbs, your lighter back, wouldn't have mattered because of the pressure. Between the tackles, that hasn't really worked all day, sure wouldn't have been the call. Punt the ball and hope your defense gets something done. Here's what the people who would be complaining about it the other way. Your defense hasn't stopped them. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. But we know 2 plays later, after failing to gain the 4th down, Jordan Love, touchdown pass. I would have taken the points, as I mentioned, at the field goal when they went forward on 4th and 2 or 3 down near the goal line, or at least in the red zone inside the 10-yard line.
If I can back up for a second, Shep, did you see Brian Branch on the touchdown pass that you're referring to?
Yes. Yep, sure did.
What the hell was he doing?
I don't know if he thought.
Did he think it was going out of bounds or something?
Yeah, I don't know if he thought it was going out of bounds. I don't think it was zone coverage. Rarely do you have a safety on a wide receiver. But he came up. Usually, if a safety's coming up like that, it is man. So I don't know why he left his receiver like that. It was very odd.
At the very end, he let up at like the 2-yard line. It gave Contavion, is that his name? Contavion Wicks? Am I getting that wrong? I feel like I did, but it was Wicks, and he catches it at the tail end. Barely gets the feet in. There's some controversy whether he had control of the ball, whatever. That's not the reason you lost the game. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, it's a contributing factor. I think it's Dontavian, not Contavion. It's Dontavian Wicks.
Dontavian Wicks. Thank you.
I think look, if you and I would agree, there's an old cliche, 5 or 6 plays change a game or are in, the moment in the game or whatever.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's one of them. I think.
Yeah, it's a 4th and 2, you know. If Branch sticks with that and bats that down, or at least just gets in the way or stays with Wicks and he doesn't catch it, or maybe he does catch it but doesn't get his feet in. You know, there's so many ifs, ands, or buts, but that is 4th down.
Yeah.
So
That's
the
a
Lions
big deal, man.
Midfield. Yeah, it's a huge deal.
Really big deal. So I get where Freddie's coming from in that regard. I really do. It's frustrating as all hell. You know, in the third quarter, 4th down and 3. I don't know if that's the one he's referring to, because Detroit couldn't get the job done there. I don't know if he's referring to, because that was 4th and 3, like I said. He said 4th and 2. There was a 4th and 3 at the Green Bay 21 that they couldn't convert. So I don't know if he's referring to that one. But either way, I don't know how people feel about Dan Campbell going for it overall. At some point, it's got to stop. Seriously. I mean, at some point, I don't know what it was. You know, when you're, instead of taking the points, let me think of what was the score then? It was 31-21. Why not take the points? You're down 2 scores anyway. Why not take the points? They end up taking a field goal a little bit later anyway, right? So why not take the points there?
I think the logic is you've put a pretty good drive together. You haven't done that a whole lot all day, so let's gamble and try to keep this drive going. But I'm with you. I mean, we all said it up in Section 318. We're like, why aren't they kicking this right now? What the hell is going on?
So it's a fair point. It is. And that's how it felt, because a lot of people said that at my house too. They said, you haven't done that all day. Yes, you did. What are you talking about? You didn't do it in the first quarter. You had a 10-play, 65-yard drive in the second quarter. You had a 7-play, 65-yard drive in the second quarter as well. You had put together a decent drive before going for it at the 47. You had 7 plays, and you ended up turning it over. So you also had a 5-play, 71-yard drive. I hate to tell people this because I'm sure it'll frustrate you. Detroit, I mean, those 2 downs, you turn it over on downs, but on one drive, you could have kicked the field goal. You scored on every drive. The first quarter, you didn't. That was 2 drives. Awful, right? First one was 3 and out. What was this? What was the second one? The second one was, I think that was 5 plays, 3 yards, and it was out. After that, touchdown, turned it over on downs after a 7-play drive on a 4th and 3, touchdown, turned it over on downs after an 11-play, 53-yard drive. What do you mean they didn't move the ball? What do you mean they haven't done it all day? You're damn right they've done it all day. I know the mindset. All I'm saying is when you're at midfield and it's 4th and 3. It's not 4th and 1, man. 4th and 3. You better have something that you know is going to work. And that offensive line, at least in runs between the tackles, was not able to get the job done. I found it odd, and I thought it was a bad call. You don't want to go for the touchdown. You don't want to go for the field goal. The other one, I get it to a certain extent. I think you got to score 2. You got 2 possessions that you got to score. You're down 2 scores. So why not take the points there? It's a tough one, man. It's a tough one to swallow. And that's not second guessing. That's not armchair quarterbacking. That is something that we were saying at the time. Let's go to the phone lines, the Meyer hotline. Go ahead.
Mike in Muskegon has some thoughts on Dan Campbell's 4th down decisions.
Mike, good morning.
I don't think he even trusts the rest of the team, special teams, defense. When you're at midfield, continually go for it. You're not playing field position. I've seen plenty of punt returners botch a punt. You get a turnover, short field touchdown.
Sure.
Maybe you hold them, you go 3 and out. Their punter shanks a punt. They throw a pick deep in their own territory. He's never giving special teams and defense the option of doing that. It's like he doesn't even know the little syncrasies of football, of game planning, of game managing, or like taking the 3 when you're down 10 with 10, 11 minutes left. It's a simple momentum. It deflates the team when you're constantly going for it and not getting it.
Yeah, but you would admit, and I don't disagree with that, for the most part. I think, your comment about him, mismanaging games or not understanding certain parts of the game, I think is a little much. When you say
he's 0 for 8.
0 for his last
8 fourth and go for it.
Yeah. I think it was yesterday, went for it twice, right? And then 0 for 5 against the Giants.
I don't know how the defense feels. How do you think the defense feels with, we got to hold them at midfield again to try to keep them out of field goal range because they went for it.
Yeah, and they did it against the Giants a couple of times, but I hear what you're saying. Could you turn that around and say, look, I have so much confidence in my defense that if we don't get it, we'll be okay?
You could, but as you were talking beforehand, was the interior of their line is just decimated.
Yeah.
They can't hold up their blocks. And they run, I think it was 2nd and 3rd or 3rd and 4th where they ran Gibbs right up the middle and they got stuffed both times.
Yeah.
Your offensive line can't win those battles all the time like they did the last couple of years. I mean, you got Ragnow coming back, but you don't have Zeitler. You're banged up. You don't have the same offensive line that you did all those years when you were going for it and hitting that whatever. He was hitting that at a better than a league average clip when he had that offensive line.
Well, he was actually at a really good clip before the Giants game. Okay. I'm probably agreeing with you a hell of a lot more than I'm disagreeing, but the smart ass in me would say, well, if they're not performing very well, how did Jahmyr Gibbs rush for over 200 yards against the Giants? My point would be, well, that's most of his runs were off tackle. I don't like the play call. I don't like going for it on 4th down at midfield. There's 2 ways to look at this, Mike. I mean, if you're the head coach, you're like, guys, I know you can get this. I'm confident you can get this. And if we don't, then I still trust my defense. On the other hand, it's like what you just said. I don't trust any part of my game or my team. So we got to push that proverbial pedal a little bit. So I guess it depends on a perspective. I just don't like that as a football play personally on 4th.
Me as a Michigan Wolverine fan, that's my main team in college. Is what if trouble with the snap against the Spartans? What if Dan Campbell was our coach? Just sort of went for it. We would have maybe gotten stuffed, and State would have had to drive the field to win the game with a Hail Mary.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good thoughts. I appreciate it, Mike. You're making me think. It's always really important. Appreciate you listening to us there in Muskegon. It's always good to visit with you. Have a great weekend, and let's hope things change. When we come back, nothing wants to change for Michigan State basketball. They are on a major roll, and Michigan State football is playing at Ford Field. Graham Couch, Lansing State Journal, joins us on the other side. Stay with us.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
Ferris Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
It's raining cash, cash, cash this November at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 4 guests each hour will score $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each Saturday, 2 lucky winners will each take home $10,000 cash. Then on November 29th, the excitement peaks. 2 guests will strike it rich with $30,000 cash each. A share of $200,000 in cash is calling your name. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Huge here with a message to all of you Lions fans. My good friend Josh Garvey, who runs Dorn Mayhew's Grand Rapids office, will join me every Thursday with former Lion Lomas Brown, and we'll go inside the Lions each and every week all the way through the Super Bowl. Dorn Mayhew is proud to partner with the Huge Show, and we're proud to have a guy like Josh Garvey join us in studio every week. If you have a Lions question or comment, you can drop them at Huge Show on Twitter, The Huge Show on Facebook. Dorn Mayhew proud to be a part of the West Michigan community and across the entire state with their corporate worldwide headquarters in Troy, Michigan. So make plans every Thursday, 5 p.m. It's Josh Garvey, who is the managing shareholder at Dorn Mayhew's GR office, with Lomas Brown on the Huge Show going inside the Lions every Thursday at 5 p.m.
By the way, our Mitch Lyons poll question of the day. Who wins the game? Michigan, Ohio State, or I don't care. You can vote us off if you want at Asking Mornings. I'll retweet it at Shepard. Who wins the big game? Michigan, Ohio State, or I don't care. I know Graham Couch probably doesn't care all that much. He covers Michigan State football and basketball. He's on his way back from Florida after another really impressive show. I'm telling you, man, Michigan State basketball is really flipping good. I mean, really good. They remain unbeaten. Decisive win over North Carolina. Who's got a better resume than Michigan State? Nobody. Spartan shot 52%, put 4 in double figures. Jeremy Fears game high 19, had 7 assists. He's leading the country in assists, you know. It's awesome to watch. So much fun. I know Cohen Carr and the Jams. Okay, that's great. I mean, he looks fantastic. How about the balance that they've shown? They are really good, man. Let's focus on some positive stuff instead of the Lions' negativity, and Graham Couch will help us with that. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Hope you and your family are well, and I know you've been busy, and I know you've been traveling, so thanks for the time very much. Well, you watched that team dismantle North Carolina, especially late. I thought they were steady throughout. What's impressed you most about MSU's 7-0 start, Graham?
Yeah, just that they've found an identity so quickly. And you know that it travels, and it's game to game, and it's the toughness. It's the you know, they just out physical, out tough teams. They are who they are, and they don't veer from it. And to get there, you know, I think back a month ago to a sort of humbling exhibition at UConn, and to be where they are now after that is pretty surprising.
I think in the past I think we all do this. We label teams, we label players. And Michigan State has always been known as defensive-minded and toughness. And you wrote about this in the Lansing State Journal. Toughness and grit. They are more than that, aren't they? What else are they besides toughness and physical?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they've just got a little more skill to them. They've got, you know, they've got a lot of guys who can hurt you, and they don't have that guy who you think of as your true go-to guy. A guy like Jace Richardson was last year. Tyson Walker was before that, who can just go get you buckets, and you wonder about that with them in certain matchups. And I thought that may hurt them against Carolina. They got behind, you know, 22-15 at one point and getting a little wobbly offensively, a little stagnant. But they have enough guys who just hit shots, right? And Jeremy Fears has the ball on a string. He really does. He's got the game in his control. And when he starts making shots, and they get, you know, they just it's a better team than you think. And part of that is because we think of guys a certain way, like Jackson Kohler. You think of who he was as a player, as a freshman and sophomore, but what he's become is a guy who's shooting 46% from 3 on the season, 12 for 26, right? Yeah. I mean, that's better than AJ Granger or Kenny Goins were at this point in their senior years. You know, Carson Cooper's had 5 double-digit games, and so that, you know, you don't think of Carson Cooper that way. And so then when you get Fears hitting mid-range shots, and they're just a more skilled team than I think we sometimes give them credit for.
Yeah, they're a better shooting team, aren't they? I mean, they shot 52%. They hit 5 of their 10 triples. They have to hit a lot of threes to win, even though we've seen it earlier this year. We saw 11 in a game. We saw 13 in a game, I believe. This is a team that can shoot the basketball, but they're really good at making tough twos, too, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, and you know, they get a lot. They create a lot of shots off the assist. They lead the nation in, you know, assists per field goal made, which is, so they're moving the ball. They're very connected, and that's been a big part of things. They're getting a lot of touches in the paint. They wait for good shots. They don't overshoot the 3, and I think that's something that's noticeable. They, you know, and they may be shooting a high percentage at 3, but in a few games, but it's 7 for 14 type games, not, you know, 14 for 30 type. They know where to pick their spots, and yeah, but they're good. I mean, they've got guys who have a pedigree of making shots, and that's what made some of the times in the last couple of years where they missed a lot surprising, because they had some guys then too. And but the Jackson Kohler hitting threes the way he is, I think, is a big development for them, because their best teams over the years have had that 4-man that could hit threes.
Yeah, another double-double for him last night. Cam Ward, you wrote about, the freshman from Maryland, is averaging 9 points and 5 rebounds per game. It's not all about the statistics. It's about how he plays. Share with our audience what you like most about what appears to be a typical MSU freshman.
Yeah, he fits in. He just knows where to interject himself in the game, and that's, it's not forced. He's ready for this level and this, the big games. He had 18 and 10 against Arkansas. And, he's got a grown man's build for a young guy and knows when and how to interject himself. And you just see that. And it's a really important player for them as this season goes along and his career there. I mean, he's just going to be a fantastic player. And I think he's got a lot of skill and all that, but his ability to body somebody and back them down is something you don't see that much of a guy his age.
Yeah, plays like he plays like a Michigan freshman from the state of Michigan is my reference point. Graham Couch joining us here on X's and Bros, and you can follow him at Graham_Couch on Twitter. You're coming back for Michigan State football against Maryland. Speaking of Maryland and Cam Ward's home state, unfortunately, it's more about what's going to happen after the game than the game itself.
Yeah.
What has been the biggest surprise for you during the Michigan State football season?
Just that they haven't gotten better in certain areas. I really thought this coaching staff would bring a level of competence to the program, and to be fair, defensively they are better than the last month since Joe Rossi came down to the sideline. They played with vigor and they've been pretty consistent. But offensively, if you think about the team that showed some stuff, especially in the passing game, the first month of the season, they're nowhere near that. They can't protect. Their top wideouts aren't really all that in the game right now, and it's just I did not see this team being a team that was going to be fighting to get to 4-8. I thought this would be a team that at minimum was around 6-6 and just had the goods offensively to upset some people, and that they don't win games that they're capable of winning. That they don't win games when you think the coaching matchup should give them a chance. I think that's been surprising.
Yeah, look, I hate asking this question because I think everybody asks you this. They recognize you at a local watering hole and they'll say, Graham, what's going to happen in football? But I mean, this is what people want to know. What does your experience tell you about Jonathan Smith and what happens after this game? And if they do make a move, where do you think they should go?
Yeah, I mean, I do think they'll make a move. Now, that's not uncertain. I don't know what, Jay Batt's going to do for sure, but I just can't imagine a world which it's an easy selling point to bring him back. And I think you get to a point where it becomes just as costly to do so. Yeah. And I don't think money's going to be the issue some people think it's going to be. I don't think they wanted to do this year. That doesn't mean I don't think Jonathan Smith can be a good coach somewhere else. It just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And I know it's only 2 years, but this is a sport now where you need momentum. And you need it for donations. You need it to build a roster. And it seems very difficult to do that now. So, and then where they go, I don't know. I mean, the obvious names, the Pat Fitzgerald to the world, make a lot of sense to me. He would be a home run hire to me.
I agree.
Call and
100%.
I think he'd be interested probably. I mean, you just listen to him speak. He wants a good job, and this would be a job that fit his blueprint. And some of the things he talked about, even wanting to be someplace that had a good basketball coach and program, like just kind of an interesting thing to say if you weren't thinking about certain places. So, there's a coach, out of New Mexico who I think is a real good guy, was a Midwest guy, and would do there. You can find guys, and the challenge is if you're the AD is, you've got to make sure you don't let the next Kurt Signetti, walk by you. You got to make sure the right person's there. But I'll be very curious to see what happens. It's the fact. To me, though, if they were going to bring him back, they would have said something by now. So that's why I think they're not.
Great point. Pat Fitzgerald would be interested. I know that for a fact. And you're right. I think that would be a home run hire. He knows the league. I think he knows the landscape. I don't think he's been out that long where it would hurt him. And I think he's a really good football coach more than anything else.
And I think he's hungry, probably. I mean, hungry to prove something here. And, and he also knows Michigan State. Like, he coached in the Big Ten during the best years of MSU. He knows what wins at MSU.
Here's the other thing. He's beaten Michigan and he doesn't like them. And I think one of the things that may have hurt Jonathan Smith is whether it's fair or not. Sometimes I don't think it is fair. Just because you're not emotional on the sidelines doesn't mean that he doesn't care. But I think you have to grasp that tradition, that rivalry as quickly as possible Pat Fitzgerald would make that an easy transition. Of course, a little bit of the baggage in the past may come up, but you can get through that. Listen, I know you're busy. Really appreciate it. What a tough Thanksgiving, but we appreciate the article, especially on Michigan State basketball and how good they are, and they will continue to be that good. And we wish you the best this weekend. Thanks for your time today.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Matt. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Graham Couch joining us from the airport quickly. Appreciate that very much. Good stuff, man. Read his article, folks. Lansing State Journal on the Michigan State basketball team and their performance against North Carolina. Fantastic stuff. Back with this. More football discussion after this. Brought to you by Mike.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
Huge here for Van Andel Institute Purple Community. Now, they're a grassroots fundraising network powered by the volunteers who support VAI's mission to improve health now and in the future. Learn more at purplecommunity.org.
There were a couple times on the bench when the staff, we just looked at each other and said, man, we've got a good ball club. We've got a really good ball club. And we know that we're not going to continue to do what we're doing if we don't stay together and stay connected as a group. But I don't think there's a college coach in the country that I've watched more of their games as a fan than Mark Few. I think he's as good as there is, and he's been doing it at that. I think they're the highest, the best winning percentage in the last 12 years in college basketball. They schedule anyone, anywhere, anytime. And when you see him on the road, he treats people right. He has great humility, and everything he does is better for our game and our sport. So yes, I'm a huge fan.
18 after the hour. That's Dusty May, head coach, University of Michigan. His team, you could make the argument, is the best team in the country. Welcome back. X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9 here on the Michigan Sports Network. Michigan coming off a 101. You feel like it's a bit of a misprint. 101-61 of Gonzaga.
Mollywhopping.
Gonzaga was ranked 12th in the country, Trent. They were also favored in the game.
They've beaten a lot of good teams. Not that Michigan hasn't, but you could see why Gonzaga was favored going in.
I suppose.
Michigan crushed them.
Gonzaga beat Oklahoma. I don't know how good Oklahoma's going to be this year, but they beat Oklahoma handily. They beat Creighton handily, who was ranked 23rd in the country. They beat Arizona State. They beat Alabama by 10, and Alabama was a top 10 team. They beat Maryland by 19. I bring that up because it's a Big Ten team.
Yeah.
They didn't even belong on the same floor as Michigan. Michigan has size. They have balance. They have outside shooting. They have skill 1 through 9, maybe 10. You could argue they're the deepest team in the country. They are really good. We have the opportunity. NFL is king. I get all that. We have the opportunity right now to watch some of the best basketball the state has ever seen. And I mean that sincerely.
We're barreling towards one of the best seasons of Michigan versus Michigan State basketball that we've ever seen.
But it's not just that. It's the Pistons too.
Of course.
These three basketball teams are so in line with greatness that I don't know if I've ever seen this. We've seen the Pistons, we've seen Michigan State, we've seen Michigan and Michigan State without the Pistons. We're seeing all three of them right now. Now, 89 maybe a little different. Early 2000s, okay. But overall, when you see these two teams, Michigan State, next week, they're going to be in the top 10. They have to be, okay? Michigan's 7 going in. You would think Michigan would be, top 5 for sure, right? Michigan State ranked 11th. You don't think they should be in the top 10? Look at their resume, for crying out loud. Give me a break, man. You're beating Arkansas. You're beating Kentucky. You're beating North Carolina. And you beat Kentucky handily. You pulled away from North Carolina handily. And by the way, you've got Duke right around the corner, sandwiched around an Iowa game on Tuesday. That's a hell of a. And Michigan, by the way, that first game with Michigan will be January 30th. That will be spectacular. Seriously, I can't wait for it. It's going to be so much fun to watch these two teams play. But Michigan has beaten Auburn, and then they just beat the crap out of Gonzaga. And they get Rutgers next. And they also got Villanova coming up. Now, some of these teams are it's tradition-based, okay? In the past, how good has Villanova been? Really good. How good are they this year? It's a good question. Point is, they're scheduling teams that make you want to watch, and they're beating these teams. And we're fortunate because we've got two of the best teams in the country with Michigan and Michigan State.
I think 2 top 10 teams without question.
Yeah, I don't know.
You could argue
how you
5,
keep them
top
out.
10 for sure.
I really don't. I don't know how you keep them out. By the way, Purdue's really good too. So
yes, they are.
We're wrapped up in our team, and rightfully so. Purdue's pretty damn good. So and Illinois is pretty damn good too. The Big Ten in general has been really good. UCLA is pretty good, right? From what we've seen so far. Indiana's off to a decent start. I don't know how long this is going to last. Okay, neither do you, but it's fun to watch. Let's get to some of the text. Go ahead, text fire away.
Michigan will kill Michigan State, best team in the country. But let's talk MSU.
Okay, well, we're talking MSU because MSU just played last night.
And we're talking to Graham Couch.
Okay, and we're talking to Graham Couch, and he's giving us Michigan State basketball and Michigan State football. Why? When we're talking to Jack Miller, Michigan football analyst, at 7:35, what's wrong with talking Michigan State after they just beat North Carolina? What's wrong with talking about Michigan State because they've got a decision to make after Saturday's game against Maryland? I'm confused at why we wouldn't talk Michigan State basketball. Anyway, next text. Go ahead.
J-Mo took the fall for the 4th down drop, but the pass was behind him. Do you blame J-Mo or Goff?
I blame J-Mo more. They're both at fault. Not every pass has got to be perfect. There used to be a saying, if it's within your radius, if you can get your hands on it, you should catch it. They say the same thing in baseball. Answer me this. You want to be a great player, right? Make a lot of money. We're going to use the money thing with Goff. We use the money thing with Hutchinson. Why can't we use the money thing with Jamison Williams? Seriously, why can't we talk about how much he makes? Do you think great receivers make that catch? Does Jamar Chase make that catch? Does Justin Jefferson make that catch? Does Amon-Ra St. Brown make that catch? Does Devontae Smith make that catch? Go ahead. Bring up any really high-end wide receiver that you have.
I mean, the irony is I think Amon-Ra would have, but A, he wasn't in the game, and B, he's had plenty of drops this season by his standards.
Okay. He has. But I would trust him more. I think Goff's got to put a better ball on it, no doubt. But, I mean,
he's got a
catchable ball.
For sure.
Holy crap, man. I mean –
Shep, in real time, I was mad at Jamison Williams. I'll say that. In real time, I was like, catch the effing ball.
What difference does it make real time or slow motion? He should catch the ball. Should it be a better pass? Yes. Two things can be true at the same time. Should have been a better pass. He should have caught it. It's as simple as that. If you're a wide receiver and you need everything to be perfect, you probably don't have much room on an NFL roster. There's a lot of guys who can catch perfect passes. Tom Kennedy can do that. We saw that. Why can Isaac Tesla make catches? One-handed catches, for example. Why can Sam Laporta reach out and make a catch in the back of the end zone with one hand and bring that in? My guess is Jamison Williams, at some point in his football career, has made a more difficult catch than that one. I think he should have caught the football. My guess is that Jared Goff's thrown a lot better passes than that one, too, in high-pressure situations. They both can be at fault. I think he should have caught the football.
So your answer to the question is J-Mo taking responsibility in the locker room. You like that? Thumbs up.
Absolutely.
That should
when we
be
come back,
yeah.
Jack Miller, Michigan football analyst, will join us. We will preview Michigan, Ohio State. So much at stake. We get his thoughts when we come back. Brought to you by Meijer on X's and BrO's.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and BrO's with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
Soar to new heights of winning with Eagle Casino and Sports. Enjoy your favorite games wherever you are, whether at home or on the go. Dive into exciting slots, spin the roulette wheel, or challenge yourself with virtual table games, all at your fingertips. Sign up now and opt in to receive a deposit match up to $1,500 for the casino, plus up to 100 free spins. Download the Eagle Casino and Sports app today and experience winning with just a tap. Go you! Must be located in Michigan and 21 years or older. Other conditions apply. Visit playeagle.com to join the action. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive, boys and girls, high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, Together, we can make a difference.
way this place is built, what Michigan is all about, the intensity, the intentionality of how we practice, how we prepare, that's what we want. We want it like that. We want that physical battle. We want the toughness. We want the violence. That's what we want. The way this place is.
Back with you on X's and Bros Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, throughout the great state of Michigan, 35 after the hour. That was Sharon Moore as his team prepares for a must-win against Ohio State. Must-win if they want to be considered for the college football playoff. Nobody knows that better than our next guest, Jack Miller, who is an outstanding offensive lineman at the University of Michigan. Your letterman, who was named the UF's top offensive lineman at one point, his senior year in 2014. I think that's an outstanding job. Pre-post and halftime on the Michigan Radio Network, and he joins us here on an early Friday morning. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving, Jack. Appreciate the time. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Morning. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, big game, obviously, and you know it as well as anybody from a player's perspective and a broadcaster standpoint. Before we dive into the broadcast standpoint, try to describe what it's like to get ready for this game and then to play in this game for our audience.
Yeah, well, it's always a strange week, given that it's always a Saturday after Thanksgiving. So, a lot of athletes, they like their routine and they become creatures of habit to some degree during the week. You kind of know that every day at a certain hour what you'll be doing. And then this week comes around and that's just not the case because of Thanksgiving. And then, you're trying to get ready for that. And then obviously here we are in week 12. When all the implications are on the line for Big Ten championship, for college football playoffs, and so it feels a lot different this week. And and then the game itself is obviously just the game, right? Pretty special and means a lot more than most games do. And so when you factor all those things together, it's a pretty strange week, to be honest with you. And you try to soak in some family time if you're able to, and as much as you can. But at the end of the day, there's a task to get done on Saturday. And obviously, all the work that these guys, the players and the coaches, the support staff, all the work that they put in all year, the training and the early mornings and late nights and the film study and the working out and all of it. This is always what you're thinking about when you're doing those things. And here it is in about, a little over 24 hours.
It's unique to you, too, because you're from Perrysburg, Ohio, home of Jim Leland, I might add, too. So it's kind of a unique situation for you, isn't it? I mean, being Ohio native, but playing at the rival school. What was it like for you trying to prepare for this and the type of feedback you got the entire week, like growing up and playing?
Yeah. Very intense for me and my family, being from outside Toledo, Ohio, which is kind of the epicenter of the rivalry. And Toledo's about 50-50 Ohio State and Michigan fans. So it means a lot. It was a lot about bragging rights when I go back home. And I grew up, I did not like Ohio State growing up, and so it was fitting that I ended up at Michigan. But I really didn't know much about the rivalry. And then when I, got recruited and ended up at Michigan, and I recognized how much that game meant to fans, to players, to the alums, and to the state in general of both Michigan and Ohio.
How did you?
Certain intensity that comes with this game for sure.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, when did you first recognize it, and how did you recognize it? I mean, what stood out to you most?
I think probably my freshman year. That was 2011 at the Big House. We won. We beat Ohio State, and just the intensity. You could just feel it in the stadium. You could just the buildup of that game. You finally got a sense that it was bigger than most, and it meant a lot more than most, and that it was called the game for a reason. Pretty special rivalry.
Jack Miller joining us here on the Michigan Sports Network throughout the state of Michigan. He's an outstanding pre, post, and halftime analyst for Michigan football and the Michigan Radio Network. So Sharon Moore gets his team ready this week for Ohio State. We both know, because you were there, that last year, for some reason or another, Ryan Day, Chip Kelly, and the rest of Ohio State Buckeyes felt like they had to be a bigger guy. They had to be the more physical team, and they weren't. So everybody who expected Ohio State to win was flat out wrong. And I would say just about everybody outside the Michigan locker room felt that way. How could this season be very similar? Because most people are expecting the number one team in the country to walk out of Michigan Stadium with a victory on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I think the blueprint's always the same for Michigan in this game, which is you have to be the more physical team. You have to own the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively, slow the game down, and you just have to grind it out. And that's kind of Michigan's style, not just with playing Ohio State, but just in general is they're big and they're strong and they're physical. And although it hasn't been perfect this year by any stretch, they find ways to win down the stretch of the game. Late in the fourth quarter, teams get a little worn out, and Michigan's just athletic enough. There's enough good talent on the field to go make a play late in the game and win a ball game. Now, that's going to be their hardest challenge of the year, obviously, this week coming up with Ohio State. They have not seen that much talent on the field from an opposing team. But the blueprint is the same. I have a hard time thinking that Ryan Day is going to make the same mistakes that they did last year, where they tried to be them, meaning Ohio State, trying to be something that they're not. If I were him, I wouldn't run the ball. I wouldn't try to run the ball and try to be the more physical, powerful team. That's not their style, but they have incredible talent at the wide receiver position, at quarterback, and their defense is very, very good this year. And so I'd rely on that. But you never know. I mean, this game, it's the old cliches, but you kind of throw out the record book, and there is enough talent on this Michigan team to go do something pretty silly again. And if they were able to do it last year in Columbus with no passing game at all, to speak of, then they can do it this year at home, and particularly if the weather gets a little bad and they're playing well. They got enough talent to beat anybody.
That's a really good point. I mean, if they could do what they did last year with no passing game, and they have a better passing game this year, although it's not stellar, a better passing game this year, then you could see something happen. When you break it down, and oftentimes this is what you do, offensive line, defensive line, you go through every category. Where does Michigan have an edge, and how do they overcome the disadvantage in so many other areas against the Buckeyes?
Well, the reason that they've been able to win 4 in a row leading up to tomorrow is that Michigan's defensive line has played very, very well in all of those games. And you remember last year, 2 big All-American defensive tackles that didn't allow Ohio State to run the ball and pretty much made them one-dimensional and to give the ball back to us all the time. And you can go down the list of the prior years where the defensive line played great. They were able to get pressure with 4. Every year the storyline is kind of the same. We come into this game and Ohio State's passing game is to be feared. Yeah. They got a great quarterback. They got great wide receivers. And if the quarterback has enough time in the pocket, he's going to find open receivers down the field. The key for Michigan and why they've been able to be successful in the past is those defensive lines. They were able to get pressure on the Ohio State quarterback quick, and only with 4, maybe they'd blitz a 5th guy, but it wasn't like they had to blitz to get pressure all the time. And there just wasn't enough time to let routes develop down the field. And it was a good thing for Michigan. If Michigan's not able to get a pass rush, that's really going to be, I mean, that's the part of the game that I'm going to be watching for sure, is how does Michigan's defensive line and their pass rush do against this Ohio State team. I think Ohio State deserves to be the number 1 team in the country. They're very, very good. But they have not played exceptional talent this year. I mean, they played Texas in week 1, and it took Texas a while to find their footing this year. So they have not seen this type of physicality. The Big House is going to be an intense environment on Saturday. And like I said, it looks like we're due for a little bad weather, which is a really good advantage for Michigan. So up front, that's their advantage. They have to make use of that and make sure that they're able to get pressure on Ohio State quickly, so they can't let that passing game get going. And then offensively, the offensive line has to play well, and then they have to get that running game working. Michigan cannot become one-dimensional. They got to be able to run the ball. They got to be able to control the clock and not let Ohio State's offense get out there and get more and more possessions, so that they're able to go score, slow the game down, control the line of scrimmage.
What has Michigan done well or better than you originally thought they would this year? And can they do that again on Saturday?
Well, that's a great question. I guess what I would tell you is the passing game, and it was obviously anemic last year. We didn't have a passing game. Then we get this kid Bryce Underwood, who is just an exceptional talent. He's developing and getting better. And then, you know, it was kind of up and down. We were waiting for a wide receiver to kind of emerge. Andrew Marsh came on the scene halfway through the season, has been exceptional. Also a freshman. Those two have really, really good chemistry. And watching that development, I would say, of Andrew Marsh and the connection with him and Bryce Underwood, that's been really fun to watch. I went to a couple practices during training camp, and I saw Marsh, and I remember number 4 making a big play and thinking to myself, boy, I think he's going to be pretty special. And it's been fun to watch him develop this year.
Okay. So Saturday's kickoff, it's inclement weather. I don't know who that benefits, because it's not like Ohio State can't run the football, right? They can. If Michigan wins, do they belong in the discussion of the college football playoff? And if so, why?
I mean, I certainly drink the Kool-Aid in Ann Arbor, but I would say so. To have that would be the most impressive win of the season in college football if Michigan is able to go knock off Ohio State. It's probably fair to say, hey, Michigan hasn't looked great against top-tier talent throughout the course of the year. But listen, the reality is they're sitting here. They got a chance to go 10-2 and beat the number 1 team in the country coming off a national championship that's, loaded. That's got a roster that's loaded up and down. So yeah, that would be, in my mind, enough to get them in. But you never know how the rest of the chips are going to fall, and that's what we'll have to watch this week with all the other games. And it's rivalry week for a reason. I bet you some wacky things will still happen. So we'll see how it ends up. But that would be the most probably the most impressive win of the year in college football. And at 10-2 in the Big Ten, that probably earns you a right to get in.
What concerns you most about Ohio State in general?
How quickly they can score. I mean, you can do everything right for 3.5 quarters, but if you take your foot off the gas and they get, the opportunity to get on the field one more time, they can score quick and they can put up points in bunches. And I think that's the part that makes Ohio State always so dangerous is, they're never that far away from being able to get themselves back into a game or win a game. And the style that Michigan plays with, they have to be right all the time. There's not a lot of room for error. So just how explosive they are, I would say that's a concern, because you got to be right all the time.
We're talking with Michigan football analyst Jack Miller. Does a great job pre, post, halftime, breaking it down for the Michigan fans on their radio network here on X's and Bros. You know what concerns me just a little bit? And this is college football, Jack. This is not Michigan, Ohio State. This is college football in general. Last year, Michigan beats Ohio State. Ohio State literally, after they win the national championship, and I understand why, but they said it didn't matter to them that they lost to Michigan. What mattered is that they won the national championship, and that's the ultimate goal, right? How much concern do you have that this landscape we're in right now, you're losing rivalries? We can pump it up all we want on Fox during Thanksgiving Day games and the lead up, but in the end, the players and the fans have to still care a lot besides just game day. Are you concerned at all that maybe we're losing some of that nostalgia with this rivalry?
Not with this rivalry in particular, and that could happen. And your point's well taken that you could find yourself like, what if both teams were undefeated and both of them knew that they were a lock in the playoffs? Then the game wouldn't have the same implications that it would. Now, we haven't gotten to that point in this rivalry. It's very plausible that we could eventually end up at that place. But it just hasn't been that way the last couple of years. It's meant something. I mean, for Michigan last year to pull off that upset, they weren't really playing for anything besides pride, and they were able to still do it and knock off Ohio State and the drama that created. So, I do think that the rivalry, particularly this one, stays intact. It means a lot. I can tell you that in Schembeckler Hall in Ann Arbor and in their facility down in Columbus, those players and coaches, they're talking about it. They're thinking about it because they know that their legacies at these schools is judged in a large part on how this game goes. So yeah, the format does not have the same, the game doesn't mean the same practically. And there are some seasons where I'm sure it won't affect the seasons all that bad. But even last year, had Ryan Day not found a way to go win a national championship after losing to Michigan, he's probably the winningest coach in college football over the last however many years. And he was going to get fired had he not found a way to win the national championship game because he lost to his rival in the circumstance that he did. So it's still intact for now, and I think it still will mean a lot to people. Some of the other rivalries, I don't know. That will probably lose its luster, but the game means something a little more.
I remember reading an article, and you said, you admitted that this team had exceeded your expectations, this Michigan team, and that perhaps, I believe, the turning point might have been the game against Nebraska. If so, why do you think that is? And in what specific area have they surpassed your expectations?
Well, I think if you would have asked me at the beginning of the year, can this team go 10-2, 9-3? That's probably where I would have ended put it and made sure it ended up. But they're sitting in a position now. This has been a strange team. It's a very hard team. I say this a lot on the post-game broadcast. It's been a hard team to analyze for a couple of reasons, because there's two sides to the coin with every storyline with this team. There's a part of them that they don't look that great at times, barely squeaking by a Northwestern team. They didn't play well against Purdue at home. They looked outmatched when we went out to USC and when we went out to Oklahoma. And then there's a flip side to this, which is this was never supposed to be probably a national championship year. You have, I think there's 5 or 6 freshmen starting on offense right now.
Right.
You got a young coach who recruits well. He's still trying to find his way. There's a lot, and you have the opportunity to beat your rival at home, go 10-2, and get in the college football playoff. So there's a lot of, but yet there's a sentiment from Michigan fans, and I can understand it, that the team is not at their full potential, that there's a lot left on the field, that they're a little sloppy, that they're inefficient, and all of those things are true. So it's been a hard season to judge, quite frankly, and the irony is that's why this game always means so much, because this will determine a lot of how people feel about year 2 in the Sharon Moore era after Saturday afternoon. And if they find a way to win, boy, does it look like an impressive resume thus far. We'll see what happens when they get in the playoff. If they don't, but they battle and they look good, okay. But if they don't play well, and Ohio State embarrasses Michigan at home, then you feel a real different way about the season. So, there's a lot to be determined still. There's a lot of young talent on that field. I've said it the entire year. Yeah. There's enough talent on that roster. They can beat anybody in the country any week. They've struggled to find ways to put it all together as a team, offense, defense, and special teams for 4 quarters. It's up and down. But they're young, and they're trying to find their way, and they got an opportunity on the biggest stage to put the program in a better position and get themselves the college football championship at 10-2, and that would be a good year. But we'll see how it all plays out.
That's all you can ask for. Jack, keep up the great work, man. Really enjoy listening to you. Appreciate the time. Glad you had a good Thanksgiving. Good luck this weekend. Have fun.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Shep. Take care. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's Jack Miller. Does a really good job, and I mean that. I mean, if you listen to the broadcast, he's outstanding as part of the Michigan broadcast throughout the state of Michigan and parts of Ohio as well. All right, we're back with more. Rob Rubik will join us. Ferris Coffee Friday, folks. That means What's Brewing with the Rubes at 8:35.
Huge here for the Michigan High School Athletic Association. You can stay up to date on the latest from Lansing 24/7 at MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. The latest news, press releases, and stories connected to every high school in the state of Michigan, available for you 24/7 from the Michigan High School Athletic Association. Log on to MHSAA.com, at MHSAA on Twitter, and MHSAA on Facebook. And if you're looking for archive boys and girls high school sports, MHSAA.TV. That's MHSAA.TV. 24/7, everything you need to know about high school sports in Michigan. Log on to MHSAA.com.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Ferris Coffee has been family owned and operated for over 100 years. Its popular Den Blend and Dark Roast is more than coffee and more than the official coffee of the Detroit Lions. It's a call to rise. Ferris Coffee and the Lions are the perfect match. They embrace those who show up early, cheer loud, and never back down. Den Blend is perfectly roasted in Grand Rapids and provides the ultimate fuel for fans who wake up and roar. Whether you're tailgating at the game or cheering from your couch, Den Blend is your go-to coffee for your game day ritual.
It's raining cash, cash, cash this November at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 4 guests each hour will score $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each Saturday, 2 lucky winners will each take home $10,000 cash. Then on November 29th, the excitement peaks. 2 guests will strike it rich with $30,000 cash each. A share of $200,000 in cash is calling your name. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
You're listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network. And if you missed any of today's show, be sure to check out our podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you find your podcasts to find the greatest hits from every day's show.
Make sure you listen weekly to our Moving Ferris Forward interviews with Ferris President Bill Pink and other leaders who are moving Ferris forward. Find out more about Big Rapids and Ferris and what they have to offer at ferris.edu.
When you punch us back, we're going to smile at you. And when you knock us down, we're going to get up. And on the way up, we're going to bite a kneecap off.
Home run! Home run! He hit it a mile! Let's give them the keys to the Hall of Fame, but not tonight. Tonight they are in the Stanley Cup. Steve Eisenman, come get it.
It feels like heaven must be lying. I got one question for you, Michigan Nation. Who's got it better than us?
Right center field. That's got carry. It's gone. Number 500 in history for Miguel Cabrera.
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Yes. This game is over.
Let's put the kick.
They score. Red Wings win. Detroit basketball.
Final hour of the program. Glad you're with us on this Friday. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Thanks again. We've already talked with Graham Couch about Michigan State basketball and Michigan State football. The football team will wrap things up Saturday night at Ford Field against Maryland. Still shake my head at that. Just don't get it, quite honestly, especially if you're not having a good season.
It's going to be a sad showing there.
It is.
For attendance.
Look, you and your brother and your family make that pilgrimage to Ford Field on Thanksgiving. Would you do that on Saturday? You're as big a Michigan State fan as I know. Would you do that Saturday?
Because I live in Grand Rapids? No. And Shep, I'll be honest with you, because I'm a Lions season ticket holder, you get offered free tickets to that game. I'm not even taking them.
Wow. Really? The thing about here's the weird thing about this. Yeah, but I mean, if you're a fan, you're a fan. Okay. But I understand why you're saying that. Here's the weird thing. You had to work this morning and you're still willing to make that trek yesterday. You don't have to work Sunday. So why wouldn't you make that trek on Saturday? But it's obvious because you, first of all, you've been to Spartan Stadium, you've seen this team, and you know what it's like. It's tough, man. Anyway, so we had Graham Couch earlier. We put that out on a podcast. Jackie Miller, we just spoke with him to preview the Michigan-Ohio State game and on a Paris Coffee Friday today. Proud to have them as a sponsor, proud to have them as a partner, and proud that they sponsor Rob Rubik. It's the Lions Breakdown with Rubes at 8:35, like we do every Friday morning here on X's and Bros. The Lions lose to the Packers, as you well know by now. I hope it didn't ruin your turkey day, but I know it pissed you off for a while. 31-24, the final. The thing we haven't talked about is the illegal motion by Green Bay, and that they gave him the timeout. I mean, it's just, God damn, that was frustrating.
When you have all these videos and all these angles and social media, which is a cesspool to circulate all those, it's really tough to swallow, man, because it's so obvious that he did not call timeout in time. Is that the reason the Lions lost? No. But when you talk
it's part of it.
4 or 5
it's part of it. I mean, it's a big part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big part of it. Here's what we don't know. And I think the Lions got jobbed. Full stop.
Oh, me too.
What we don't know is, was he screaming timeout? And that's when the referee heard it, and then he comes in. But when you're a smart ass in the post game, did the refs get it right? And he winks and he says, of course they did. That tells you something.
That's the key right there. He knows he got away with something.
That he knows damn well he got away with something. And it's another situation where Lions fans are just, do people have it out for us? I know the mentality. Detroit versus everybody. Let's use that mentality, right? It's just that is blatant, folks. That's blatant. And it's super frustrating. And just add to the list. Add to the list of all the things that you feel like the team has been hosed on. Whether it be the catch by Calvin Johnson, the bat by KJ Wright against Seattle, on and on.
Because it's not like that happened on a 1st and 10. That happened on a very crucial 4th down in the game.
Would have made it 4th and 6 instead of 4th and 1.
Correct.
They would have been forced to kick a field goal instead of touchdown. We know the history. Dallas beat Kansas City 31-28. They're going to be at Ford Field in 6 days. They're playing good football. They won 3 in a row. Brian Schottenheimer is starting to feel his oats, saying we'll play anybody, anywhere, anytime. Every coach in the National Football League should say the same thing. Cincinnati gets Joe Burrow back. He throws for 2 scores. They beat Baltimore 32-14. Lamar Jackson looked like crap.
Michigan State looked really good. 74-59. They blow out North Carolina by shooting 52%, but 4 in double figures. The Spartans are undefeated. The Pistons host Orlando tonight, hope to start another winning streak. The Red Wings welcome Tampa to LCA at noon. It's a double dip at Little Caesars Arena. Red Wings and Lightning, followed by Pistons and Magic. The Red Wings have dropped 2 in a row and 3 of 4. Here's the Mitch Lyons Wealth Poll question of the day. Who wins the game? Michigan, Ohio State, or I don't care. Vote as often as you want at XA Mornings, and they'll come your way on Monday in the 8 o'clock hour. Hearing the open or the rejoin in our show and the 8 o'clock hour. And Dan Campbell's saying, you know what, knock us down, you're going to back up. You know the kneecaps, full speed. Not that I had anything wrong with it at the time. I didn't. Here's my question. Have they gotten away from the mentality? Here's a couple of things that I don't want to hear about any longer. I think I said this on Wednesday. So my apologies if I'm being repetitive. I don't want to hear about Marcus Davenport being available. I don't want to hear about Ron Brown talking about what kind of celebration we're going to do. All right. Now, he's out for at least a week, according to reports. Kennedy came in and did a really nice job. Slod did a pretty good job. Jameson Williams, outside for the drop on 4th down, did a pretty damn good job. I'm wondering about the mentality. I'm wondering about this team getting fat and happy because they haven't done anything to get fat and happy about. They haven't. They've won 2 division titles. Whoop-de-doo. If that's the bar, Green Bay's laughing your ass off. Okay? Other teams, Kansas City, that's a giggle. Buffalo, it's a giggle. Baltimore, it's a giggle. San Francisco, it hurts their ribs. They're laughing so hard. Knock it off with the 2 division titles. Okay? Who cares that you were the 1 seed? Honestly, you and I do not care. You shouldn't care about that. Is it an accomplishment? Yeah. I don't want to take it away from them because that's not fair. They did something, all right? But the bottom line for this team, and we've said this for a long time, for the last 2 years, the bottom line is this team needs to get to the Super Bowl. And the mentality of this team, and I suppose a lot of teams go through this, all right? The Super Bowl shuffle with the Bears, the Niners joining Huey Lewis in the news on its hip to be square. Of course, they did it after they won the Super Bowl. Not that the Lions are doing this, but I think there's a lot of people who are tired of, hey, I've got a podcast. I mean, I'm not one of them. Okay. You want to have a podcast? Go ahead. Go ahead and make some extra money. Other people are doing it. There's a lot of hours in a day. There's a lot of hours in a week. Just because you're doing a podcast for 1 or 2 hours doesn't mean that you're not watching the film that you're supposed to be watching.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you're not focused on your actual job.
Yes. However, it does give people a window into questioning commitment. Not me. I'm talking about people in general. There's a lot of people out there right now who are like, you know what? Is this team truly together?
Well, and you're also, everyone has passions, so you can do those passions on the side. And if your passion is podcasting, go for it. The problem there, Shep, is you're now giving statements, you're putting them out to the public, and then they can react to them. So people are going to hang on to things when you say stuff like you're planning your touchdown celebrations and your dances and all that stuff. People latch onto that. People that want to bring you down, they're going to remember that just because you put that out during the week.
That's correct. That's well said. And this team's got to be together and almost like an us against them mentality for the rest of this season. Because if they don't, they're not going anywhere. And in fact, they might be part of that statistic. Remember what I've said before. On average, or I forget exactly how many years it is, but on average, you're looking at a lot of teams that made the playoffs 1 year and didn't make it the next. Who's it going to be? Could be Baltimore. Could be Houston. It could be Kansas City. It's definitely Washington. It could be the Lions. It'll be the Vikings. There's 6 I've just mentioned right there. Okay. 6 teams who made it a year ago, in all likelihood, are not going to make it this year. food for thought. Rod Brewing joins us at the bottom of the hour. It's What's Brewing with BrO's, brought to you by our friends at Ferris Coffee on a Ferris Coffee Friday. We're back after this, and we're brought to you this hour by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
It's raining cash, cash, cash this November at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Every Saturday from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m., 4 guests each hour will score $500 cash. At 11 p.m. each Saturday, 2 lucky winners will each take home $10,000 cash. Then on November 29th, the excitement peaks. 2 guests will strike it rich with $30,000 cash each. A share of $200,000 in cash is calling your name. Only at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Your getaway reimagined. Visit SoaringEagleCasino.com for complete rules and details.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at FreddieThePizzaMan.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit FreddieThePizzaMan.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI, thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
The Michigan Sports Network is your exclusive home for X's and Bros with Matt Shepard and The Huge Show later today at 3 p.m.
fired up to get Frank, to get him back. He wants to play. He wants to be a part of it. He misses the game. He misses his teammates. And so we're really fired up, man. He's a good football player. He brings a good football player, a lot of production back to that old line and the game itself. But he's also a great teammate, man. He was one of our captains. So he brings a lot to our team.
Yeah, Dan Campbell on the return of Frank Ragnow that broke later in the day on Wednesday and had people on social media and all over the place just reveling in the possibilities. Me too. Super fired up. My favorite player until he retired on the Lions. Okay. Favorite player of all time is probably like Joe Montana, Earl Campbell, Fran Tarkenton, and guys like that. Anyway, it's a game changer. Or is it? It's only a game changer if they can stay afloat until he comes back. If he's not coming back, it would have been awesome to see him yesterday, but he doesn't play defense. It would have been a game. Can he be a game changer against Dallas? Adam Schefter. No, was it Adam Schefter or was it Ian Rappaport? I think it was Ian Rappaport who said he's going to be available against the Rams. You know what scares the hell out of me, guys? How are they going to stop Stafford and Devontae Adams and Nakua and Kyron Williams? How are they going to stop them?
The only saving grace there is you're coming off a long week, so hopefully you get some more health back. I mean, I would hope by then Kirby Joseph's playing, right?
Well, yes, and he's been a missing point. He's not rushing the passer, dude.
Correct. Well,
but you were at the game yesterday. I'm sitting there watching Marcus Davenport and Aiden Hutchinson, and I don't see either one of them getting home.
Yeah, and I don't even get on Davenport. I don't care. You and I have been on the same page with that. I don't even care about him, his availability, whatever. It's Hutch who I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Invisible yesterday.
Look, you can say what you want about Brad Holmes, and we've defended him, but I've said this time and time again, that there are general managers who are going to be linked to certain moves or non-moves. And Brad Holmes's belief in Marcus Davenport, his belief in Josh Pascal, his belief in certain people coming back has been his undoing so far for many people who don't buy into his vision. It is. I'm sorry. I mean, that is just a fact. You and I could talk about signing Kirby Joseph, drafting Brian Branch, going out and getting DJ Reed, having the wherewithal to find Jack Campbell, welcoming Alex Anzalone, although he was here before Brad Holmes. Okay. Signing Aiden Hutchinson to a long-term deal, Aleem McNeil to a long-term deal, doing the various good things that he's done. His failure to address the opposite side of Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line has been something that will be tough to live down unless you win a Super Bowl. That is a fact. Okay? People are going to judge him on that. They already have judged him on that, and they're not wrong in judging him on that because you have only done part of what your responsibility is.
Yep.
And there is a sense of turning of the tides right now among Lion fans, whereas before it was in Brad Holmes we trust, and now after we're good, we don't need to do this, we've got more money, but we're not going to do that. People are pissed, and they have every right to be pissed. If you're going to turn on Dan Campbell like Mike did earlier, Mike from Muskegon called us, if you're going to turn on Dan Campbell for his fourth down decisions going forward and what you called in those moments, then you have every right to turn on Brad Holmes for not fulfilling his 100% of his duty either. That is a fair statement for Lions fans today. I don't blame you one bit. You can be the most ardent supporter of Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell. When someone like Mike says, I'm tired of, going forward at fourth down at midfield,
Yeah.
It's hard to deny that. If somebody came to me and said, Brad Holmes is a good general manager, but he hasn't fulfilled his complete duty, how am I supposed to argue that?
I almost feel as though the Dan Campbell fourth down decisions is equivalent to Brad Holmes in the front office not making, I don't know if he's not making calls, but not making trades, not making deals to make your team better in season, not the off season, in season.
Right.
Those two things are what
that's the point.
everyone's clamoring about.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, exactly. I mean, these are the things that people are pissed off about because it goes back to whether you think it's right or wrong, and I don't think it's right, but the window. They feel like there's a window with Jared Goff. They feel like there's a window now with Frank Ragnow. It's great that Frank Ragnow is coming back. It is. I am super pumped, okay? But Frank Ragnow missing a game against Green Bay, wouldn't expect him to come back on a day's notice, and possibly missing Dallas. If you lose to Dallas, you're out. You're already behind the proverbial 8 ball, whether you get Frank Ragnow back or not.
Yeah, you're 7-6. I mean, you're a 500 team, basically.
No, they're 7-5. Oh, if they lose to Dallas,
They
right?
lose to Dallas, yeah.
7-6, and they're not making the playoffs.
Right.
You're not.
Because you have to win out at that point to even go.
No. I mean, you need way too much help. There's too many teams to climb over. You have to climb over a lot of teams already. Okay, you lose to Dallas, you lose that tiebreaker, and suddenly Dallas is 7-6-1, and you're 7-6. You've added another team to that melting pot of teams that are better than you. I'm sorry, you have lost to Philly, you've lost to Green Bay twice, you've lost to Dallas. It's not happening. You literally have to win out. That is not hyperbolic at all. And bringing back Frank Ragnow against the Rams doesn't do you a damn bit of good. It doesn't. Makes you feel better. It may make the game a little more entertaining. You're not beating the Rams with this team. Not whether this defense is played. You can't stop the Giants. You can't stop the flipping Packers. How the hell are you going to stop Matthew Stafford and the Rams? They got one of the best offenses in football. Let's get to the final results of the poll question from the other day. Here's what we asked you. It was Thanksgiving. It was lighthearted. Best Thanksgiving side: mashed potato stuffing, sweet potatoes and yams, or cranberries? What was it?
Stuffing, 51%.
Okay.
Mashed potatoes, 42%, and then sweet potatoes and yams gets 5%. Cranberries, just 2%.
Yeah, not a fan of the cranberries. All right, how about the daily wager? How'd you do there?
Not good because we took Amon-Ra St. Brown to score a touchdown, and we know how that ended. But Shep, I'm curious your thoughts on my daily wager today. Because for the weekend, I will take the Seattle Seahawks minus 11.5 hosting the Minnesota Vikings. Sam Darnold revenge game, if you subscribe to that sort of thing, which I know you necessarily don't. But J.J. McCarthy's offense has just been so bad since that Lions game. And I think we get a comfortable 13, 14-point win by the Seattle Seahawks. I think they cover that 11.5. What do you think?
I agree 100%. And the reason I say that is, you're talking about J.J. McCarthy. I'm not sure he's playing. He's from what I can tell, he's not taking first-team reps. Max Brosmer was. Max Brosmer against the Seattle defense. If Minnesota scores more than 10 points in that game, I'll be stunned. Absolutely floored if they do that. When we come back, you will be, as always, floored with the insight from one Rob Rubik. It's What's Brewing with Rubes, brought to you by Ferris Coffee on a Ferris Coffee Friday. He joins us to break down Lions and Packers and the frustrations when we come back. Brought to you by Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Yeah, you know it. Rap Rewind 2000. Monday, December 29th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, featuring the boss, Rick Ross. Special guests, Twister, Baby Bash, and Ying Yang Twins. Tickets start at $75 and are on sale now at the box office at etix.com. Rap Rewind 2000. Rick Ross plus Twister, Baby Bash, and Ying Yang Twins. December 29th at Soaring Eagle. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
It's time to go in the huddle with Matt Shepard.
1, 2, 3, top flight.
DraftKings Sportsbook is an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use the code HUGE for a special offer when you sign up. That's code HUGE, H-U-G-E, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
The Thanksgiving Day loss, their 8th in the last 9 on the holiday, exposed some deep issues with the Lions, especially on defense. Again, no pressure on Packers quarterback Jordan Love, allowing him to complete 4 touchdown passes, tying the franchise record on Turkey Day. Had they won, the story this week would have been more about Frank Ragnow coming back out of retirement. After all, the 4-time Pro Bowler has allowed just 6 sacks in over 5,500 snaps. Eventually, he will help Jared Goff and elevate the run game and pass game and play action. He will shore up the line calls to designate proper assignments and create a crisper timing with this offense that has lacked consistent flow. Instead, the question now is, will his return be too late to save a team that suddenly looks more vulnerable than it has in the last 3 years?
You are listening to X's and Bros with Matt Shepard on the Michigan Sports Network, but you don't need to be in Michigan to tune us in. Search XB Mornings on X or X's and Bros on YouTube.
The Freddie the Pizza Man Foundation is dedicated to providing support to families and Michigan schools touched by autism. We invite you to join us in supporting these families and schools by making a donation at freddythepizzaman.com. With your donation, you can help provide essential resources that can make a real impact. Visit freddythepizzaman.com to make a donation and to learn more about the foundation's mission. That's FREDI thepizzaman.com. Together, we can make a difference.
Save a good deal more with Meijer Black Friday deals every day of the week, November 23rd through the 29th. Enjoy huge savings on the hottest gifts and must-have items, like select shoes or boots for the whole family. Buy one, get one for just $1. We're adding even more great deals during our 3-day sale, Thursday through Saturday, like buy one, get one free team sports apparel and 50% off Hatchimals Alive interactive toys. 7 days of holiday deals and savings. That's the good life at Meijer. Exclusions apply. See all deals in the Meijer app.
It is a Ferris Coffee Friday. Welcome, everybody. Hope you had a good Thanksgiving. Welcome back to X's and Bros, Monday through Friday, 6 until 9, throughout the great state of Michigan. Also streaming live on YouTube, on X, and on Facebook as well. Rob Rubik was in the house yesterday for the Lions' loss to Green Bay. I hope it didn't spoil his Thanksgiving. He joins us here on X's and Bros, as he does every Friday at 8:35, brought to you by our friends at Ferris Coffee, the official coffee maker of the Detroit Lions. Rubes, I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. I know you did. You don't let these things fester a little bit, but you also witnessed a game in which there's a lot of concerns. What's your number one concern for Detroit after watching them fall to Green Bay yesterday?
Well, I just talked to Trent a little bit, and I said it's funny is when you're winning, your warts don't show.
Yeah.
When you're losing, they jump out at you. Boy, you see what's wrong with what you're trying to accomplish, and you just see it starts with the interior, the guards in the center. I mean, pressure once again early inside, pressure throughout the day inside, but more the inability to run the ball between the tackles. This is a team that relied on the 6 and 8 yard chunk run plays last year with Montgomery and with Gibbs. They're not doing that now. And they're getting behind the sticks, and it's putting more pressure on Jared, and it really highlights the rush, getting into his lap, throw the ball out quicker. You lose Monty. That doesn't help. You don't have Laporte. I mean, those are two key cogs. So they're up against it right now. They're gonna it's gonna be gut check time, and I think Dan's got to do a better job. He's got to manage the game better. He's got to manage the clock and his decision making. I think he needs to reevaluate the whole fourth down thing when there's points to be taken at times. And I go at length with my boys with this, and they're like, keep going for it. I mean, man, 3 points that's almost half a touchdown. And there's points to be taken. Take them. You never know what's going to happen later in the game. So I just think everyone's got to get better.
Yeah, look, your boys can argue for it all they want, but when you're down 10, you need 2 scores no matter what. I didn't understand it, quite honestly. I mean, I think you take the points there.
We're old, I guess, Shep. I guess we don't.
Yeah, maybe.
A lot of things I don't get, but I guess Bill Parcells got it and Belichick got it, and they seem to do all right. And I think they would kick on most of the situations. But anyway, neither here nor there. More importantly, is they got some personnel issues right now.
Well, so you bring up the interior offensive line, and I understand that because there was pressure on Jared Goff without question, especially from Micah Parsons. And I think that's where a lot of people go. I'd like to know, in 2 games in Green Bay, 2 games against Green Bay, they have no sacks. Jordan Love is clean, didn't get pressured in Green Bay hardly at all, and wasn't really pressured much yesterday. Why are we focused so much on the interior of the offensive line for the Lions and not the entire defensive line for the Lions?
Shep, you are just wise beyond your years, and that's tough because you're pretty old. You're right. I mean, I was going to get to that, but I was going to start with the offense because this is a team that's been driven offensively over the past 3 years. This is a team that we're used to watching put 30 to 40 points on the board and doing it fairly easily. So I guess that jumps out at you more when the offense starts bogging a little bit. But you're right. Defensively, they're getting nothing. And I watched Hutch yesterday, and he does get chipped every now and then. He does get doubled every now and then. But so does Micah.
Yeah.
Was he there yesterday?
Right.
Did he show up? 2.5 sacks?
Miles Garrett gets it.
Yeah, Rashawn Gary. I mean, they won up front. Let's not forget, we got lucky in a sense to beat the Giants because we were beat on both sides of the ball up front. We beat the Giants because we just had some elite dudes that made plays that tipped the scales. All right, but in and out, I mean, over the course of the game, the Giants beat us up front on both sides of the ball, and the Packers did the same thing. You could make excuses. Was that a horrible call that they gave them the timeout? Yeah, I mean that's 4 points. That cost you 4 points because they're kicking. If it goes back to 4th and 6, he's kicking the field goal. He's not going for it. And that's tough. But here's the deal: you get all game to make up for that.
Yes.
There's things that go on, and that's what penalties and lost points and things that go against you early. You know what? You overcome that. You call the game different. You make different decisions throughout the course of the game to get, to make up for it. You have to. The defensive front, I mean, they defended the run pretty well. I mean, Jacobs, he had one chunk run of 18 yards maybe. But besides that, they held him, under 3 yards of carry. And he's a good back. So they did okay against the run. The problem is when you're having to put Aleem McNeil at defensive end sometimes, and I love Aleem. I love him in the pass rush game going against the guards in the center. I don't want Aleem McNeil as a defensive end, as a rush end. You know, you got. Where's Marcus Davenport, the Alibaba, the Prince of Thieves? You know, stealing money.
Yeah.
You were a big off-season signing. And I understand you get hurt. There's nothing he can do about that. But when you do get a chance to come back play, he'll contribute. So, yeah, we got issues, Shep. That's what I'm saying. It's just not. We still have a lot of really talented players. But having spotty, talented players throughout the lineup with no continuity that helps build drives and create points or stops drives, we can't get off the field.
Right.
We don't make plays when they need to be made.
Do you think they're done?
No. And it's just is how they've lost these couple games. They can win a couple games like this. No. You know, the Rams, you're looking at that, well, it's probably a loss. So that means they got to run the table. And I think the hardest one they're going to have on their plate is going to Chicago in late December.
I think it's next Thursday, man. I don't know. How the hell are they going to stop Dallas?
Well, good luck, right? But they're going to be able to score on Dallas. The thing is, you have to be able to hopefully create a turnover or two, because if not, Dallas will score with you and maybe outscore you right now. They got two. I mean, Perk's playing just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Prescott.
Pickett, George Pickett.
Yeah. He's playing unbelievable.
Yeah.
And, then you got CeeDee Lamb, where you know how good he is. And Dak is, he's got seems like he's got a lot of time back to make decisions.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of times against other teams. He's had a lot of times against Lions, and we have no pressure, as you stated.
Yeah.
So, that's a tough one. I mean, we're 7-5.
Yeah.
So every game is going to be hard to win. So, you're up against it. I mean, you got to go 4-1 basically from here on out to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And 4-1?
Personally, I mean, I think you need a lot of help if you're going to do that. Obviously, because Chicago's got a couple of games on you if they win this week. Green Bay's got 2 games on you because they've swept you. You lose a tiebreaker when it comes to Philadelphia, and you lose a tiebreaker.
Green Bay, but Chicago, Shep. I mean, they got Green Bay twice. They got us. They had the Eagles yet. So I mean, they got murderers row. I mean, for them to win 2 games is going to be, epic for them to get 2 more wins, end up with 10 wins. So,
well, look, I would say this. I would say this. We've talked about the warts of the Lions, and there's plenty of them. I don't think that if I'm a Chicago Bears fan, and I'm not, that, I'm thinking we can beat the Lions. That's number one. Number two, you can split with Green Bay. Green Bay is not this juggernaut that we used to watch Aaron Rodgers use his surgical passing precision to kill teams. I don't think they're all that. Okay. Philadelphia, yes, I understand that. But I think the Bears are playing pretty good football right now. So
a little smoke and mirrors. Here's the deal. They have they have so many turnovers. And here's the thing about turnovers. Turnovers can come and go like the weather. You can be where we're getting 2 a game, and some of them you create, and some are just luck. I'm not gonna. Some are just you get a break. So they're a -3, and that's important. And the plus
in scoring differential.
In scoring, correct?
Yeah, right.
-3. That tells me they're getting a lot of close wins. That, man, I don't want to count on close wins. I want to see some significant improvement in a team where you're mowing some teams down, and I don't see that with the Bears. So I think in close games that they're going to struggle, and you can't. I think so. You can't continue, because obviously you can. We saw Minnesota do it one year with all those close games, and they got all those wins. We saw with the Lions last year with the 15 wins. I mean, they got a lot of great wins.
Yeah.
So I just don't think the Bears are there yet. I think they're a year away. I think they've got to be pleased that they're ahead of schedule. They got a quarterback that's getting better.
Yeah.
Their offense is still very suspect. I know Ben Johnson, everyone's raving, the 8 wins and this and that. Well, their offense is been struggling the entire year. So it's an offense, but they got dudes, and they're getting better, and their defense is very, very opportunistic. But if they don't create turnovers in a game, they're going to struggle.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree with that. I'm just saying, when you look at their schedule, you could see them beating Cleveland. You could see them beating Green Bay once, and you could see them beating Detroit. I don't think they're beating San Francisco. I don't think they're beating Philadelphia. I don't think they're sweeping the Packers. With all that said, if they get 3 wins, they've got 11 knockouts. That means Detroit's got to win 4, and I don't see 4 for the Lions the rest of the way. Look at what they have. I mean, you just mentioned Chicago. They got to beat Dallas.
Dallas at home. They got to go to Minnesota.
And they got to go to the Rams.
Right.
So I don't mean to sound like a negative Nancy here, but man, we're acting like smoke and mirrors for Chicago. What the hell? What's Detroit done that would infuse any confidence in
mirrors? It is, Shep. Listen, but the thing is, they've got 8 wins with it, so their smoke and mirrors is probably going to get them into the playoffs. I just don't think they're there yet. I think it's a team that if we play well and they play well, we win. The problem is, will we play well outside in Chicago, and if it's windy, we're done because Jared can't throw in the wind. He throws a knuckleball. He doesn't throw a tight spiral, so any type of wind outside, it's tough. And we're not running the ball. Last year you think, we got a chance because we're just pounding them, ground and pound. Well, they're not grounding and pounding. And everyone's saying, Frank Ragnow, okay, that's awesome.
Right.
But that's one guy coming back at the center, which is an important position. Will we be a little bit better? Yep. But we'll be a little bit better. Mm-hmm. We're not going to be like, oh my God, we're running 10-yard chunk plays now, and he's got all day to step up into the pocket. It's not going to be like that.
Yeah, he doesn't play defense either. He doesn't play defense. So
he doesn't pressure the quarterback. Last time I checked.
Yeah, last time we checked.
I blame, and I've been a huge Brad. I think his draft picking has been great, but this should have been addressed.
I agree.
We saw last year when they couldn't pressure the quarterback.
I agree.
We saw that. They never really addressed it. We thought they'd take a defense, a rush in, and they're we're good with Hutch and this. And Hutch is a good player.
Yeah.
People are going to hate me. He's a good player. He's not great.
Yeah.
He's not a Max Crosby in his prime, or a T.J. Watt, or a Myles Garrett, or a Micah Parsons. He's not that level. People don't want to hear it. He defends the run well, and he gives you great effort, and he can get at the quarterback a little bit in one-on-ones. But he's just not there all the time. I know he's got the stat of he leads the league in pressures. Well, you know what? I almost hit a lot of home runs last year, too.
Yeah.
A lot of warning track outs. I don't believe in pressures. I believe in sacks. I believe in interceptions, strip sacks, whatever it is. That's what I believe in. Hitting a quarterback, forcing him to throw the ball straight up in the air on a 3rd down and 4 where you're hitting him and he can't complete the pass. And I'm not seeing any of that.
Yeah, I don't disagree with any of that. Rob Ruick joining us here on X's BrO's with Ruick, brought to you by Ferris Coffee. Their Den Blend, the #1 seller and official coffee maker of the Detroit Lions. They've been doing it for over 100 years. Family owned and operated. I don't disagree with the defensive end concepts at all, because we haven't really heard from Tyler Williams, if you think about it. Sure. I mean, it's low blood. Williams, first round pick, 28th overall. Where has he been? We haven't seen it. So
McNeil, since he's been back last year, he generated a lot of pressures in the lap of the quarterback. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Hutch. Hutch I point out because he's the one that gets all the focus,
and because he makes all that money.
But the other side, what are they doing? What has Muhammad done since early in the year? What is Davenport comes yesterday, and I just saw Jordan Love. A couple of times he had to backpedal a little bit to get out of there, and one time he rolled out of the pocket. But are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And it's not like the Packers protect great. I mean, they've struggled with protection this year too. And yeah, okay. No, Nick, but they still have a lot of good things, Shep. I mean, you still got a lot of players offensively who are talented. You got some defense. I mean, Jack Campbell is becoming a dude. If he continues to progress like he is, he will surpass Chris Field as inside linebacker, and he'll be one of the great lines I've seen inside. If he can stay healthy and keep, because he's a wrecker. He's a game wrecker. He does a great job.
Yeah.
We forget we haven't had Kirby, and you think, well, it's Kirby Joseph, but he's a ball hawk back. He covers a lot of ground, a lot of that deep stuff he's there for. So it's
yeah, I just think there's a lot of teams that have been dealing with injuries. What I was going to say about the defensive, what I was going to say about the defensive end. Look, Brad needs to address it. Don't disagree with that at all. Okay, and waiting to the 6th round. It's just that instead of Tyleik Williams, who are you taking? Nick Skorton out of Texas A&M. Are you taking the Enzaruke kid out of BC, who's been basically nothing? The kid out of Ohio State, Tomasolo. He hasn't been. It's not like these guys are jumping off the page and having these rookie seasons that make you go, "Oh my gosh, he's the second coming of Micah Parsons." Even the guy I thought I would have chosen first overall, Abdul Carter, hasn't been good for the Giants. So, yeah, but I think your point is a valid one in the sense that there are different ways other than the draft that you can address the need, and it has not been addressed. Nor did he envision the problem with the offensive line. And that's why I'm convinced the Frank Ragnow retirement announcement surprised them. Because I don't think
that yesterday. I think you're right. It kind of threw them for a loop. But another thing is they may overvalue what they had.
Yes.
You know, it's okay, value your guys. You think they're pretty good, but unless you see them under fire in a game situation, but you don't really see, you get a little bit of a taste in preseason against other guys, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
So maybe you overvalue what you have, and it's tough. You know, I mean, you just don't know. Some guys you undervalue. You put them in the game, you're like, oh my gosh, we should have done it sooner.
Yeah.
And other guys, you're like, they're not what you thought they were.
All right, a final thought from you, because we're up against it. Lomas Brown is a semifinalist for the Hall of Fame, and he's a friend of yours. You know him well.
Yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
Yes. Because he's a Hall of Famer, because Jerome Bettis is in the Hall of Fame and John Lynch is in the Hall of Fame. Lomas Brown is definitely a Hall of Famer. 18 years at tackle, longevity in itself. You know, and he's probably started 14 or 15 of those 18 years in the league. And he was one of the best I've ever seen in pass pro. He could look like he's beat, and he could recover like I've never seen. And he was so athletic, and I also really like him, so I hope he gets he's a great guy.
Yeah, sure.
I also be able to tell my kids, hey, I started next to a Hall of Famer. Kind of cool.
That would be very cool.
I'm sure not. I might get in Canton, Michigan, but I'm not going to get in there.
Well, you're in our Hall of Fame, Rubes, as always. We appreciate it, brother. Thank you. Hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon, okay, bud?
All right, Shep.
All right, that's Rob Rubick. What's Brew with Rubes? Brought to you by our friends at Ferris Coffee. Their Den Blend, the #1 seller. Go check it out today. Available at Meyer and throughout the entire state of Michigan. Our thanks to Jack Miller, Rob Rubick, Graham Couch, and you.